So we had a request in the comments to explain MDD,
Oh,
Major
right.
Depressive Disorder.
Interesting. It's one of those terms people hear all the time, isn't it? Depression or clinical depression, MDD. They get used interchangeably, but they don't all mean the same thing, do they?
No, they don't. I mean, most people think of depression as simply feeling sad, but
Right.
clinically, MDD is much more complex than that. It
Mm.
isn't about, having a bad week or feeling low after a disappointment. It's
Hmm.
a it's a sustained change in mood,
Right.
and motivation and cognition and physiology, and meaning that it affects how someone thinks, how they feel, and even how they move through the world.
Right. So when we say major depressive disorder, what are we actually diagnosing?
Well, clinically, it would be defined as a period of at least 2 weeks where someone
Right.
experiences persistently low mood or a loss of
Hmm.
interest or pleasure in almost everything.
Right.
And of course, there are other symptoms alongside it, like changes in sleep, attitude, energy, concentration. And
Hmm.
that's the clinical threshold in both the DSM, because I know you're all obsessed with the DSM, and the ICD, which is obviously the book that is used more in the rest of the world. But,
Exactly.
those are just the outward signs.
Hmm.
Underneath the brain's reward and motivation systems, the
Hmm.
parts that make us want to do things and enjoy them, they start to quieten down. So dopamine circuits in what we call the mesolimbic pathway becomes
Hmm.
less responsive. So even small pleasures stop producing a spark.
Okay, which is why people say things that feel flat. It's not that they're refusing to be cheerful, but their brain just simply isn't responding to positive experiences in the usual way.
Right. And beyond that,
Hmm.
um, depression warps thought. People
Yeah.
often experience what we call cognitive distortions,
Hmm.
which are automatic negative patterns of thought. So things like catastrophizing, which is
Mm.
assuming the worst possible outcome of anything, or an
Hmm.
all or nothing thinking, where
Right.
something is either perfect or
Hmm.
pointless. There's no in
Right.
between.
Yeah.
So those thoughts become almost self-reinforcing loops. You feel
Mm.
low, you interpreted that as a as proof that you're a failure, which then deepens the mood even further.
It's a vicious circle, and physically too. People often underestimate that side of it, don't they? The sleep
Mm.
changes, the appetite shifts, energy drops. Sometimes people can't get to sleep at all, and other times they can't stop sleeping. And
Right.
even brushing your teeth can feel like climbing a mountain. So
Right.
hard.
And no, it is absolutely, and that's what we call psychomotor retardation. It's
Hmm.
the slowing of both movement and thought. And you're
Right.
right. It's often missed as well because it's not just emotional. People
Yes.
think
Yeah.
that depression is something that's just emotional, but it's
Mm.
not. It's also physiological.
Right. And not everyone with depression looks obviously unwell, do they?
No, quite the
Right.
contrary, actually.
Right. Mm.
There's what sometimes I suppose what we might call smiling depression. I know
Mm.
that's kind of a strange word, isn't it? I mean, it's not an official diagnosis, obviously,
No.
but it's a way of describing people who mask their symptoms and appear functional, even cheerful,
Mm.
while feeling detached inside. And it's much more common than you would think. In fact, I
Hmm.
think it's probably quite common that people with depression will mask it. And
Yes.
they can perform socially, but the emotional experience is very hollow because they're keeping up appearances. So they're often missed, even by clinicians. Even by
Yes.
clinicians.
I think TikTok call it high functioning depression. The idea of,
There's no
yeah.
such thing.
I know, I knew it. Rage bait you, right? But high functioning depression, high functioning anxiety. Yeah. But here's the thing. That is the thing. You can't always see it. You can't always
Right.
see depression, which makes it incredibly isolating because people think you're fine, you've got a job, you're laughing, when inside it's just empty. It's like there's
And from
nothing.
a psychological standpoint, MDD is maintained by a combination of biological vulnerability, cognitive
Hmm.
bias, and environmental reinforcement. So,
Right.
for example, withdrawing from others can give short-term relief. It can, because it can create less pressure, less stress. But over time, that removes positive reinforcement.
Sure.
And then that deepens the cycle.
Absolutely, which is why therapy often focuses on like these tiny steps back into life, like small activities, little pieces of connection, testing those negative beliefs, right?
Well, I mean, that's CBT, isn't it? Cognitive behavioral therapy in action. It helps a person break those loops and, question their own thoughts and gradually build back a sense of control, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, and medication has a place too, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. And I will never understand people who are against medication. It makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
And it has something to do with shame and embarrassment. Oh, I'm on antidepressants, and there's something shameful in this. And it's like, well, if you had a headache, you take an ibuprofen.
Right.
What the fuck is the difference?
Right.
Right. So
if you had diabetes, you take insulin.
Like, you take insulin.
It's life-saving.
If you had flu, you take Lemsip. I actually don't get this mentality.
No.
So antidepressants like SSRIs are often described, and they increase serotonin availability in the brain by blocking reabsorption. Now, we don't know why or how it works.
No.
We just don't know, right? And this can lift some of the biological fog, and make therapy more effective. But they don't create happiness. They simply change what's possible, I suppose. The actual recovery still depends on re-engaging with life and relationships and giving it meaning.
And that can be really slow as a process, and it's totally okay that it is, because it's not about sort of snapping out of it. It's about rebuilding from the inside out.
It is. I think the most important thing to understand with a major depressive disorder isn't that it's a weakness or that it's a character flaw, because it's not.
No.
It's an illness, like any other illness, like the cold, like flu, like COVID, like anything. This is what really annoys me about the attitude towards mental illness. People will ignore it. They won't go and see somebody about it. And I've had friends who just won't, because it's like, oh, well, I don't know. There's nothing really wrong with me. It's like, okay, well, if you had a broken arm, would you go and see a doctor?
Right, because your brain is part of your body.
It's like, yeah, I would. It's like, okay, so something is broken in the brain, and we have the ability to fix it.
Right.
Why would you not go?
I know.
So it's not a character flaw, which is what most people think it is. It's an illness. It's common. It's treatable. Yes, it's sometimes recurrent. It does come back. But many people recover fully from an episode, and they live full, productive lives.
Yeah.
But, it has to be said, reoccurrence is possible, which is why that ongoing management and relapse prevention matters a huge deal.
Absolutely. And the shift often starts with when someone realizes that it's kind of not who they are, but something that they have. That thing of their brain is malfunctioning. And here's the thing, and we can do something about it.
And that distinction is the start of recovery.
Yes.
Because when you stop fighting yourself and start working with your mind, I mean, that's where treatment truly begins, isn't it?
100%, definitely.
So people shouldn't be embarrassed by it. It's bullshit.
No.
It really annoys me, actually. It's going to trigger me now.
Rage bait.